constantly being told who to fear, who to blame, and who our enemies are. The stories we see on the news often pit communities against each other, making it seem like we have always been in conflict. But history, when you look closely, tells a very different story. It tells a story not just of struggle, but of solidarity. For African Americans and Mexican Americans, our histories are deeply intertwined, connected by a shared fight for freedom and dignity. Understanding this shared past is not just an academic exercise, it is the key to building a powerful, united future where we stand together. This isn't about rewriting history, but about revealing the parts that were conveniently left out of the classroom. The history books we are given often paint a simple picture. They give us heroes and villains, and the stories usually center on a few famous figures. But the real story of freedom is much more complex and far more interesting. It involves entire nations and everyday people who made brave choices. Long before the American Civil War, long before the Emancipation Proclamation, there was another nation on this continent that stood up against the horrors of slavery. That nation was Mexico. Their support for enslaved African people is a chapter of our history that has been overlooked for too long, a testament to a solidarity that crossed borders and defied the powerful institution of slavery. This forgotten history matters now more than ever. When we see headlines trying to create tension between our communities, we must remember the truth. We must remember that our alliance is not new, it is ancient. It is a bond forged in the fires of oppression and a mutual desire for justice. The powers that be have always benefited from keeping marginalized groups divided. They know that if we ever truly recognized our shared interests and our shared history of mutual support, we would become an unstoppable force for change. Reclaiming this narrative is an act of resistance, a way of saying that we will not be defined by the divisions they create for us. So let's take a journey back in time. Let's look at the facts and uncover the powerful alliance that existed between Mexicans and African Americans. This is not a fairy tale. It is a documented reality of courage and shared humanity. By learning this history, we arm ourselves with knowledge. We build a foundation of respect and understanding that can withstand the forces that seek to tear us apart. It's time to honor our ancestors, both black and brown, who fought together for the simple idea that every single person deserves to be free. This is our shared heritage, and it is the blueprint for our shared liberation. Imagine for a moment what it was like to be an enslaved African person in the American South in the 1820s. Every day was a struggle for survival under a brutal system. To the north, freedom was a distant dream, a perilous journey away, but to the south, across the border, lay a nation that had made a bold and righteous declaration. In 1829, Mexico officially abolished slavery. This wasn't just a symbolic gesture, it was a profound statement of values. It transformed Mexico, including its territory of Texas, into a beacon of hope. For enslaved people, Mexico became a sanctuary, a place where the chains of bondage could be broken. This happened decades before the United States would fight a war over the very same issue. This act of abolition had immediate and powerful consequences. The southern border, which many now see as a line of division, became a pathway to liberation. Runaway slaves from plantations in Louisiana, Mississippi, and other southern states began to make the dangerous journey not north but south into Mexican territory. They were not met with hostility, but with refuge. The Mexican government and its people actively sheltered these freedom seekers, offering them a chance at a new life. This was a radical act of defiance against the powerful slaveholding interests in the United States, which saw its human property escaping to a neighboring country that recognized their humanity. It was a direct challenge to the American system. The significance of this cannot be overstated. When American settlers, led by figures like Stephen F. Austin, moved into Texas, they brought the institution of slavery with them, directly violating Mexican law. The conflict that led to the Texas Revolution was not just about land or governance, it was fundamentally about slavery. The Mexican government stood firm on its anti-slavery principles, while American colonists fought to preserve their ability to enslave other human beings. In this conflict, Mexico was on the side of abolition and human rights. They were fighting to uphold the freedom of black people on their soil, a fact that is often completely ignored in the telling of Texas's independence. So, when we talk about the first allies in the fight for black liberation on this continent, the story doesn't begin with abolitionists in Boston or Philadelphia. It begins with our neighbors to the south. The Mexican people and their government were the first to offer a state-sanctioned safe haven for enslaved African Americans. They were the first to enshrine emancipation into their national law and defend it against American expansionism. They were our first true allies in the Western Hemisphere, providing a tangible escape route to freedom long before the Underground Railroad to the north was widely established. This is a history of profound solidarity that we must honor and remember. To truly appreciate the significance of Mexico's early support, we must also look at the American narrative with clear eyes. We are often taught to see President Abraham Lincoln as the great emancipator, a moral crusader who fought the Civil War solely to end slavery. While his actions did lead to emancipation, his own words reveal a more complicated and pragmatic motivation. Lincoln's primary goal was not the immediate liberation of enslaved people, but the preservation of the Union. He made this painfully clear in a famous letter he wrote in August 1862, at the height of the war. This was not a secret. It was a public declaration of his priorities. In that letter to Horace Greeley, a prominent newspaper editor, Lincoln wrote, "My paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union, and is not either to save or to destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some, and leaving others alone, I would also do that." These are his own words. They show that for Lincoln, the freedom of 4 million enslaved African Americans was a strategic tool, a means to an end. The end was winning the war and keeping the country together. Placing this fact alongside Mexico's history of abolition is incredibly revealing. Mexico abolished slavery in 1829 based on a moral and legal principle of human rights. They did it because they believed it was the right thing to do. Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, issued more than 3 decades later in 1863, was a military strategy. It was designed to destabilize the Confederacy and strengthen the Union's position. While we celebrate its outcome, we must understand its context. The support from Mexico was proactive and principled, while the support from the American government was reactive and strategic. This is not to diminish the outcome, but to give credit where it is due. This historical context is vital for our unity today. It shows us that the fight for black freedom was not gifted from the top down by a single benevolent leader. It was a long, brutal struggle in which alliances came from unexpected places. Recognizing that a neighboring nation of brown people offered sanctuary and stood on moral principle before our own country's leaders did, is a powerful truth. It dismantles the myth that we have always been at odds and replaces it with a history of deep, foundational support. It proves that our communities were allies long before it was politically convenient for the powerful in America. Understanding this shared history is the first step. The next step is to carry that spirit of solidarity into our lives today, on this day, June 21, 2025. We, African Americans and Mexicans, are not rivals. We are not competitors for the scraps from a table where we are not even welcome. We are brothers and sisters, descendants of resilient peoples who have fought against oppression for centuries. The forces that try to divide us are the same forces that profit from our struggle. They use fear and misinformation to build walls between us, because they know that our unity is their greatest threat. We must refuse to participate in their game. When you see a news story trying to create anger between our communities, remember the history. Remember the Mexican families who risked everything to shelter runaway slaves. When you hear politicians trying to blame one group for the problems of another, remember the shared fight for justice. We face the same struggles today: systemic racism, economic inequality, police brutality, and a justice system that is anything but just. Our fight is one and the same. An attack on the rights of an immigrant family is an attack on the principles of justice that we all depend on. A struggle for Black lives to matter is a struggle for the dignity of all marginalized people. We must make a conscious choice to stand together. This means showing up for each other. It means Black communities supporting immigrant rights, and it means brown communities supporting the movement for Black liberation. It means learning each other's stories, celebrating each other's cultures, and defending each other in times of need. Our solidarity must be active, loud, and unapologetic. It must be a powerful force that rejects all forms of hate, whether it is prejudice, anti-Semitism, or fascism. Our alliance is built on a foundation of mutual respect and a shared vision for a world where everyone is treated with dignity. Therefore, let this message go forth. Let it be known that we are one people, united in a common cause. We are the children of a powerful legacy, and we have a responsibility to honor it by building a better future. Let us see each other not as strangers, but as family. Let us replace suspicion with trust, and division with an unbreakable bond of solidarity. Our shared past is a testament to our potential, and our shared future is ours to create, together. This message is a proclamation from His Royal Majesty Timothy, Lawrence of the New American Empire, Black Pope of Eco-Spirituality, and Grand Ambassador of the United States of Africa, dated 2025, June 21st.
If you ever wanted to start that, just put it in the fire.
Okay. So we have our little fire burning out here. This is my son's unnamed territory yet. He hasn't named it yet. What is it?
It's called the camping area.
What did you name it?
The camping area.
All right, so this right here is the royal camping area. This is what it is, y'all. And the prince and the emperor is here. Boom. Oh. All right.
I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it.